Alright, y'all gonna work
There
on
it goes.
Yes? Alright, y'all good. We have a test Thursday. Test Thursday, so let's focus on it. No, sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Is it just Tyler that's not here? Hey, you need to sit down, do your warm up. Dwight, you need to sit down, do your warm up.
Focus on the test Thursday, okay? Is it the okay, man? What does, okay.
It's okay, it's just like reputation, so what are we running?
No.
So we can
So
do
you
that.
can't say your professor
It's
hi.
gonna be alternate ones, so put angle A and then what is that, C?
So try me dog.
No.
1 minute.
No, she's in section only for years.
If he stands 6 feet.
So just Tyler's absent today, right?
You have to edit the audio for.
Is he like beep, 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 beep?
So that
Maybe
means
you didn't say
that,
cuss
Who
words
has-
out your mouth.
Who has some questions on the warm up? Josh, do you have a
first
question?
words minus 8 minus. Good, that over.
Who says cuss words?
First minus 8 to number,
I said wouldn't be beep, beep.
over, wait, what did I say?
I said maybe you didn't cuss you, so I put it. Josh, is it work, please?
Right,
There you go.
why don't you have a warm up?
I ain't getting one.
You have to go pick one up.
Student 504.
Yes, sir, and class was
No,
quiet. Yeah,
she's
she's like,
She was always good. She was gonna pay me. She was always
Not
good.
always.
Do you not want to?
No.
Do you not want to?
you gotta do this twice, the first four numbers.
Yeah, I'll need to. Hey, her got good grade on that quiz,
Did
so.
you get it back?
Nah, she told me what I got.
We have given it back yet.
16.
Yeah.
I know it does.
I got 95.
Whatever, I don't even care.
That's minus what?
You had to spoil my
Keep
surprise.
letting your business done.
I don't care.
I got 70.
I'm gonna give it to you next month, 'cause I already asked you to put away.
Pass it.
You're lucky, I'll give it to you at lunch.
Is that wrong?
Why don't you put it in my pocket? That's not.
She says not going.
Put it.
Right here.
What you said, right?
Equals, what's 16 times 5?
80.
So go ahead and do the opposite to both sides and solve for x, okay? I'm talking
So
about.
the first one is just the number proportion.
Is it gonna be a whole number for x then?
I think so, yes.
They like a little zip thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Is that minus what?
All black.
It is. Yeah, there's, you can't read your writing, how can I write it?
I was worried about, I was sure it had holes in it.
You know you ain't gonna be able to senior exemptions, and if you keep on switching, you ain't gonna be able to do the senior days.
Guys, there's too much talking going on.
This the whole one? I did.
Come on, Greg, take your head, let's go. I'll get you a calculator.
Who else needs a calculator?
I'm first day at school.
Me?
This semester.
I don't know how to do it.
Hold up.
Your set up proportions.
Gonna be 4x minus 8.
I don't want to do it.
Okay, does everybody need a hint on number one, how to set up that proportion?
4/4x minus 8.
Or backwards.
How did you know that 4x and 4 go with each other?
Those are on the same thing.
Because they're on the same line?
Not the same line.
They represent the same side, for the side.
But if they're on the same line, 4x minus 8 is not on the same line as 4.
So it's gonna be.
No, so it's gonna be 5 over 4.
5 over 4.
And then 4x minus 8 over 16.
Okay, so then why don't we all have that written on our paper then?
I did.
I do. Wrong.
Alright, we'll see to calculate. There's your hint for the first one.
Hint for the second one is to draw 2 separate triangles. Draw a small triangle and a big triangle.
That's not.
And then fill in what they gave you.
They,
You need a calculator,
yeah.
Casey, you're welcome. Who else need a calculator?
So then 8, but you have a calculator, you want to go for x, where x goes. 28 minus. Anybody else? The second one, you're on 2 triangles. You got a small one, and you have a large one.
Hint for this one is to draw a small triangle and then a bigger triangle. What are the letters for the small triangle in number 2?
Oh, no, it's right here.
R, what else?
Um,
For the small triangle, what are the letters?
Q,
Yeah, Q and what?
S,
Good. So this one would be R, what? What's for the big
I'm
triangle?
taking one.
What are the letters for the big triangle?
Is this the right proportion?
P and what?
R,
R, P and,
Q.
no, for the big triangle. Big triangle, you're only looking at these for the big one. So R, P and
Mm-hmm.
T, right, for the big one.
Yep. All these over 15.
Now try to label that information and see if you can do that.
Over 13. Yeah.
You might get enough room.
Now remember, this whole thing is an x plus 3 plus 15.
If you don't have enough space, maybe you can do some of that in the back.
When you're like, you can't read this part, you see how blurry it is?
Yeah. I wonder why.
Oh, it does.
Only in that one corner. Jeez. Just the way this is angled. Maybe you can't go at the very edge.
Okay, because it also has like a yellow tint to it. Alright, here's your two triangles. Let's just see how they're doing. Okay, well, let's start reading number 4.
You saw it.
Number 4. How much you trying to do? Alright, well, let's
Well, leave that right here.
No, it doesn't hurt, but
First,
she-
then what?
Where's the actual camera?
Okay.
75, 15.
No, the other's the only one that's like in the picture.
That's good. No.
Thought it was.
Okay, so this one's on the board for you.
I know how to do it.
We're gonna do it, come on.
I'll feel it. So
And you
PQ.
do, right?
Whoa.
Yeah, because this is 8 over 2 of what you're doing.
Equals 8. Well, this is it, even for like.
You weren't here yesterday, you had a nice break yesterday.
I'm so confused. PQ. So pit 8 and this one, 8 and this one.
I just don't know where to put that. That's small now.
Okay, so then you
That's
have to
eight, yeah.
read.
So PQ, put an 8, that's an RQ.
PQ,
That is all.
huh?
Okay, where's PQ?
PQ,
Oh, no, it's going on there. It's a RQ.
Oh, wait, where did I put? Hold on.
Oh, okay, so first what you wanna do is you wanna put your PQ
Oh,
right
yeah, I'm
here.
sorry, put the numbers there first, and
And
then go to
then
there.
put 'em over.
Yeah.
So then QR is 5, RS is 15, and ST is, somebody tell me what the
Yeah.
this is gonna
X plus 3.
I got negative.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
You did.
Okay.
Okay.
Then from there you can, because what do I have to do with these two parts?
You gotta multiply.
What's that theorem we already did?
Part plus part.
Equals,
Add them.
Both.
let's put steel.
Oh, sweet.
So you gotta add those two together.
Alright.
Slowly rotate them.
Let me get my glasses. Is it say 20 what?
No, it's not, it's not.
Let me get my glasses, hold on.
Do you see my glasses, Miss J?
No. I'm gonna put this all over. You have to get rid of it. Alright. So this is our PR, part plus part, what's 8 plus 5?
13.
Okay, then RT, what's this part? What's part plus part?
So do 15 is supposed to be.
15, and X plus 3. You can't do 15X, I have to add it. Like
Oh,
terms.
15 plus X.
So that's, so I have to add it?
Wait, 15 plus
Equals
X.
15 plus 3 is
Oh, 15.
plus X.
Yeah.
Plus X,
Aren't
18
15
plus
plus 3
Yep.
by terms?
Then I have to look over here. This is QR is 5, RS is 15. Set up a proportion.
So if we start with 13 and then 15 over 18 plus 5.
Yep. Are you ready for this?
I can do it. I got a negative.
Let's just see.
I don't know. We know the math. We don't know what to do. Go in there and be like,
Alright, so can we have, don't know if I passed it. Why do you want to wear
I mean, I want to go like.
Heather? Alright, you guys, it's been 15 minutes. You're probably 1 minute are going to check this.
I've been asking
So,
them for
turn it
like
in.
15 minutes.
What?
Been asking them.
No, you have.
I did it wrong, so I got a negative.
Are these right?
Wait.
Yeah, 20, 16 times 4 is. 16
Can I do number?
times 8 is negative 128. Minus 128. X can be negative, it's okay.
What is it?
128. Miss Castillo.
So is that correct?
Yes.
Can Heather move back here? But it's 128.
During the classwork time.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, like, we talk about math, like, we help each other out.
Alright, we'll try.
Better when.
Alright, we'll try. Alright.
Can I do number 2 on like the?
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Can I, make sure I got it right?
Yes.
Oh, she had iPad.
Oh, no, we got wrong.
Uh-oh. Okay, let me check. Let me help you guys. Okay.
I just turned mine in. I
We wrote it for you. It's 4
Alright, let me help you. Yeah, go grab yours. Okay. Alright, oh, it's up there. Grab Kaylee's too.
5 times could be 4x minus 8
Whoops.
equals 4 times 16. Alright. Do
I
that one.
did right so
Copy the board when you're done, please.
You can just do it over there. What's 5 times 4x?
Okay. Let's check and see what y'all did.
Minus 8 times 5 is what?
Alright, do you have Kaylee?
Equals.
Okay.
Then 16 times 4 is what?
Check it out.
We both have the same answer. That's the thing.
Because you've been working together a lot lately. Okay,
Yeah,
let's see if we can figure this out. Okay, so.
It was funny that I had my hand in
Divide by 29, is work divided here.
When the winter time come back around.
Distributive property.
Alright, everybody, I need your warm up.
Did it. I got it.
These AC
Oh,
Question number 1.
Okay. It's not 15 X plus 45 because
Alright, everybody's warm up needs to be
15
right here.
part plus part 15 plus X plus 3 is just 18 plus 3.
It's okay.
15 plus
We're
3 is
gonna all
18.
pay attention because we all have
Not like
knowledge.
terms or anything.
I didn't do.
It's not distribute. Yeah, it's just part plus part. So that should be, you'll distribute to later. So in the beginning, you just do part plus part, so it's gonna be 18 plus X goes
Alright
there.
guys, there's a lot of
So
questions
change
on
that.
this warm up, so I need you to pay attention to what Mia's doing right now. And if you have any questions, you need to raise your hand.
Then
and
you
ask.
distribute later.
Alright.
Anybody else have a warm up?
I got
They're
one more
fixing one thing that I helped them with and they're gonna give it to me.
You weren't here yesterday, so you might not know how to do the second one. So why don't you put it in here? And then at the end of class, you review it.
Did that make sense then, ladies? I think everything else was set up okay.
Anybody else,
just, yeah.
warm up.
And you can't get a negative number for length, so that should have been a red flag, right?
So we've already set up the proportion, we've already done that earlier. So now Mia, what are you doing now?
Across 21. She had 20 orders. 21. Yeah, and she had 21.
Alright, thank you. Yeah, that's one of the harder ones that we've been working on. I'll take it in a minute, Heather. You just bring it up there.
Okay, hold on one second.
Oh, I just want to work there. Oh, okay, you're just trying to fix the plan. Okay, I got you all. Alright. Right, so in this grade, what you can do too is while you're adding for this, you can start adding more to some application.
Yeah.
You should start providing the paper sometimes for Evan.
Oh, I've been. I don't have enough time to get it.
I got y'all's warm up, correct?
Too busy with the stuff. Let's become both like.
It was just,
Hi, right?
So does everybody understand the basic part of setting up the proportion?
What?
Everybody understand the part about setting up the proportion?
Now,
Looks gay.
Will you ever put 4x minus 8 over 4 ever? Well, not when you have this. What does this mean? Parallel. When you have parallel, the reason why you don't do it like that is because this might help some people out to not, because sometimes it'll be the other way. What does the arrow mean again, Greg?
What?
The arrows mean what?
Parallel?
Parallel. So this is like parallel lines. Sorry, the arrow.
It's so hard.
And this is like a transversal. So what would angle A be congruent to in the other triangle? Angle A would be
It's like gold.
Greg,
D.
focus.
C, C.
I already did that, so.
Thank you, Trinitas.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you see that? And what kind of angles are those? What's the names? Okay, they're on opposite sides of the transversal, so they're going to be, what's that word if they're on opposite sides of the transversal? Alternate. And are they inside the parallel lines or outside? Right, and you might be able to see it better. Wait, I didn't do that right. No, this one goes. Okay. So these are alternate interior, yes. Okay, see how they're on the opposite sides of the transversal? That helps you see that this has to go match up with that. Does that make sense? Because A goes with C, therefore this, what's on that line goes with this. And what's B congruent to?
B is congruent to itself.
Right, because what's it in the B?
It is the vertex.
Well, close.
Vertical on that.
Vertical, yes. Close. Yeah, vertical angles. Good. Alright, let's do this one together. Okay, this one was a little confusing. Okay, now, Ms. Castillo mentioned we need to first draw them out 2 triangles. When you're doing your homework or other problems and we are checking proportions, we're going to check to see that your first step is that you've drawn 2 triangles. Because unless you do that, I think a lot of us struggle with the fact that we don't realize that there's 2 triangles in one. Can we agree with that? Sometimes that's hard to see. So by drawing them out, that'll make it better. So, but first we need to put in the values that they gave us into this triangle. So somebody tell me what they told me PQ was. That's blurry. PQ is what?
8.
Alright, what's QR?
5.
5. Okay, what's RS? Does it tell you what RS? Yeah, it is. What is it? Anybody out in trivia see what RS is on the remote? Cody, what's RS?
15.
And then what is ST?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. Okay. So we have this small triangle. Let's take the small triangle and put it over here. So I'm just going to put in the values that you guys just told me into my small triangle. Do we all see the small triangle and the large one? Right, Dwight? You see the small and the large? Cool. All right, Dwight. How can I find out what this whole side of this big triangle is? What do I have to do?
Yeah.
Well, I just want to know, Cody, what this part and this part is. So I'm going back to that principle of this part plus this part equals the whole thing. All right, so then what is it? 13. So this whole thing is 13. Now this side is the side that some of us get confused on. This has an X, and so we freak
Oh, I
out.
got it.
All right, Greg, what do I do?
Add, you have to add 15 and x plus 3, which would be x plus 18.
So I combine like terms. Now, sometimes I've seen, maybe not necessarily in this class, but I've seen a lot of people just go ahead and say 15x. Why can't I say 15x?
2 different triangles.
Are they like terms? In algebra, did we learn about like terms? Does that 15 have an x with it?
No.
No, so I can't combine them. Which ones can I combine?
3 and 15.
3 and 15, and like Greg said, you get 18. Okay, so then this is x plus 18. Okay, so then what do I do? How do I set my proportion? Casey, how would I set up a proportion?
Put 5/13,
Awesome, like it.
and then 15 over x plus 18.
Okay, now what do I do? Sally, what do I do now?
Cross multiply.
It's meaning I multiply what by what?
15 by 13 by 5.
Okay, so I see, Sally, that's good. I see that this is an equation together. I'm going to put parentheses around it. Okay, that will help. What?
Distribute, right.
Yeah, distribute. So I'm going to put parentheses with the x plus 18. And like Tracy said, we're going to distribute. So then I distribute the 5 to the x and the 18. What's 5 times x?
5F.
What's 5 times 18?
90.
What?
90.
Okay. And then we got to come back over here. What's 15 times 13?
195.
What is it?
195.
Yes.
All right. Now what do I do, Greg?
So you,
Right here. What do I do?
you minus 90.
Minus 90. All right, Philip, what do I do next? I have 105 equals 5x. Okay? Philip, what do I do here? To get x by itself. Sorry, what did you say?
Divide 105 by 5.
Awesome. Can somebody tell me what you get?
21.
21. You guys use the 21 line? You're welcome. Put that
You're not
21.
tired of that? You're not tired of that yet?
I mean, I appreciate the answer.
Every time we have a 21.
That was so many, how many weeks ago was that?
21
weeks ago.
Okay, just another quick question about this problem. If it asked you, it doesn't ask you, but if it asked you, what's the scale factor for this
Scale
particular?
factor would be 5/13.
5/13. What did you say?
I think Travis said, what'd you say, Travis?
5/13.
Do you know why it's 5/13, Josh? Okay, when it says scale factor, we need either, well, you don't pick any number, you pick two corresponding sides, meaning there's one from the small triangle and one from the large triangle, but they're in the same position. Okay? So it's 5/13. And if they ask for a scale factor, you're not going to give us one that has a variable with it. You notice how you said x plus 18 was in there? There's not going to be a variable with scale factor. Okay. Does this make better sense now? Because there are a lot of questions on the warm-up this
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
Good.
I think Amelia was the only one that got it completely right almost on her own.
Alright,
Alright, so copy the board, please.
can I erase all this? Does anybody want to write this down?
After 21 kids in after one, then they're nice kids, but they aren't nice. They're
Right here.
Oh, you.
Alright, Slade, why didn't you write this down?
Hey, Brad.
Alright, we're gonna go over this in a minute.
I know.
Everybody can do at least the first two. Try the first two. Go ahead. You got it written down. Dwight, do you need a piece of paper? Dwight, are you getting a piece of paper? Alright, so Casey, which of these would you say would be
would it be number 1 or number 2 that you would wanna draw like the triangle separately?
Number one.
On
This side,
Yes.
this side, 2x 12 equals
They
13.
go one.
What about 3?
And you're missing the page.
We'll talk about 3 is kind of a special case, we'll talk about that later.
Portion? You probably could do it that way too, yeah, but I didn't, you probably did it right. I just, Miss Jakes,
Alright, yeah.
Draw them separately and then label.
I'm going to work on number 1. Does that say that like this is the proportion? Is it correct?
So we have 2x over 13. You see, look, 13 and 2x go together. This is like the big side and the small side.
So,
Ooh.
I'll draw this one.
2x over 13.
Yeah. This is actually 13 right here. Is this your big one?
Could you start off with erasing the question marks and putting what should go there?
So 3
Could you start with erasing my question marks and putting what
and
should go
2x.
there?
Yeah, that's right.
And then you start, you do the 3 times 2x, that's gonna come up to 6x. 3 times is 6 plus 9.
What's so funny?
It all is three.
So you're cross multiplying that this time. So you do this cross multiply,
hard.
it's 2x. Sorry.
Oh, you do?
Because your mom's 2x and then this is.
Okay.
Yep, that's right.
So 6x plus 36 is right,
Yep, that's good.
and then you just get
She always on the phone.
Yep.
You looked up that one time, 14x.
Okay, they're not like terms, there's no x here, so you can't combine them.
So x plus 14.
So first step, I have two triangles drawn here.
2x plus 12.
Yes. To get rid of them.
So the first step for number 1 is, what do Ms. Castillo and I think we should see on your paper? Two triangles. Two triangles.
Guess what, a lot of people, my first block we're doing, which hopefully we don't see it again, but I'm sure it's happening. Why is this not 14x when you do part plus part? Why is that
Because you don't
not
have an
14x?
X.
Exactly, there's no x, there's no like terms, are there? So look what Greg wrote, 2x plus 12, you just leave it that way.
But he doing it already?
Well, he's just labeling the triangles, okay? So what, Greg, why don't you come back in a minute and then do the rest of it, because they're still working. Yeah, this, let them try it themselves first. so they can-
Why did they get 30?
Thank you, though. Well, you can come back, remind me like in 2 minutes, all right?
same here.
So mine's like is negative point. It says the whole thing,
You watch Rollers?
and this part is.
I ain't watch it.
Or you do separate problems.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can find numbers first.
What happened, bro?
You're not finding
Guys, there's too much talking going on.
Miss Jakes, did you read my desk?
What?
Do you read my desk?
Well, because no.
Oh, not necessarily. You're fine. See, the x is here.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, not always. Sometimes that's the way it is, but no.
Miss Castillo, will you come here for a second?
Yeah. Let it blank and don't use 12.
So the small one, you see part is gonna be 3 like you said. And the bottom part's gonna be like, I think I know what I
I'll watch it. I'll watch it.
Did I set that up right?
Yeah. Rock is gonna go with the big house.
And then
I heard other people
And then
13 so much. That big part. And all you can do the next place for homework is do
12. 12 plus 2. 12x
Thursday. Yes.
plus 2x.
Oh, it's only on day days. You can't go tomorrow, right?
Okay, yep, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
I'll give you a pass. Remind me when you get the rest of your
Yeah, I'll be right back.
documents. Today's the 3rd,
With Mr. Trent,
Alright, then after you
right? Greg, can you go up there?
solve for y,
No, I'm gonna do it for you. I'll do
can
it.
you just solve for x?
You can do the next one.
Nah, I'll be
And I'll get
right
that from you, Josh. Here's the homework, remember? Well, adding 0.5 or part, no part.
It should be 1.8.
Good, every 18 weeks, good, that's what I recommend, yeah?
X plus 3
Your grade going up, right?
times 12.
Pass the SOL as well, that'd be great. Alright.
That's how you do everything.
Yes.
I'm
Good.
doing something different, and I don't know why.
Could you help Kaylee? I'll be back if it doesn't work. Okay.
Equals. Okay, did you get
What number is it? 6x?
my, there you go, 6x.
What's another word for you?
36.
I'm going with buddy. Hey,
Okay,
this is
then
the,
you
so this
minus
is
6,
decimal.
and then this is gonna be
Yes, you can have decimals.
20x
Cause I got
equals
1.8.
36. And then
Yes,
divide
that's what I
by.
got too. Good.
Oh, just stop that. Nope, I did it wrong again. Hang on. It's always you typing stuff wrong in the calculators.
Okay. Can somebody help us out a little bit? Can somebody please tell us what 2 times 13 is to break us down to the calculator?
I got it, look at that.
26.
Oh,
26, okay, thank you, that's all you need to know.
Screw it up after.
They told you that 2 times 13 is 26.
Yeah. Equals.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Anyways, thank you for this.
Paul needs help? Yes.
Write that down and ask me questions. Cross multiply, distribute.
Okay, so.
Can we say a question?
You have to go find Y now. 2. I found one. I got
No,
9.
there's no,
Do you get 9?
No.
What would the scale factor be?
Would be 113.
Yeah, good.
Anybody, 36 divided by 20.
Hang on.
1.8.
So I just, okay. Hang on.
Why?
1, 2, 1 point. 3.6 is AB, right?
Do you want somebody else to come find one?
3.6.
Why don't we let somebody
Okay.
else on chance
I
to
got
find
that.
one? Yeah.
Okay.
Please, come on.
Find Y,
Let's
you
be
need
honest.
4.5.
Josh, why don't you come and show us how to find one? Then he's gonna come and show us how to do it. Come on, close the marker. Come on up, Josh. Come on up, you can do Y.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna do such a great job at this. Okay, here we go. Alright, so. What's something that Josh could use from this problem that he could use to help him
3
find
over
Y?
13.
3 over 13, alright Josh, over here, 3 over 13.
I'll just slide back to do the quiz, okay? You don't have much more to do, right? Okay.
Alright, Josh, so 3 over 13, 3 was on our small triangle, over 13. Okay? We're looking for x now. So we're gonna come back up to the small triangle, it's gonna be 2x equals 2x over 2x.
Do it right now.
We're writing another proportion.
Is it
Over,
portion thingy?
then what is this? 2x equals
But
12.
see, do you think that that small triangle, that would be the same as that big one?
Okay, does everybody understand how we got the 2x plus 12?
Can I do 10 over 15?
From the part plus parts, right, do you understand how we got 2x plus 12?
We're still gonna be half as big as.
Yeah, we have to, there's 2 parts to number 1.
3 parts. 3 parts.
Oh, there's 3 parts.
Oh, yeah, it is 3 Can I find AB?
Sure, you can do AB, but we have to be able to find x first. So does everybody understand how we found 2x plus 12?
Yeah, Brock?
Did you find Y?
Equals 10 over 15.
Alright, Brock.
We added 2x plus 12. You have to add part plus part. Alright, so now what do you guys do? Did I calculate that? Okay, so we're gonna do these two.
Now do
No.
15 times 3.
26x.
She seems she's right.
All right, you're trying to do, but not tomorrow, but Thursday we have a test.
15 times 3.
3. 3 parentheses.
I got x equals 2.
Parentheses. 3 parentheses. There you go.
You have to do the same thing for, this full one? No. Yeah, and you just said equal to 5.
Alright, so Josh is cross multiplying. He did 13 times 2x and got 26x.
I got 2.
Now he's doing 3 times parentheses 2x plus 12. Does anybody have any questions on that? Greg, do you have any questions on how to do 3 parentheses 2x plus 12.
Yeah, I know how to do it.
You know how to do it? Good.
Help
I'm
Josh.
just making sure because I noticed you were blowing like air over that way.
Trying to whistle.
It's okay. 12 times 3 is 36.
We still on the phone. Why? Cause you doing that.
Do x again for us. Why don't you come over and do y?
I was gonna do
You can
AB.
get up and look.
Okay, you come do
I
y.
can't see it.
36 divided by what, 9?
Can you do y?
Yeah, I can
No,
try.
is it 3 or 4? No, it's 4, it's 4.
Alright, hold on 1 second, okay? 2 times this is
But it doesn't have the clock on it, but it's just has the buttons to
plus 36.
Let me go check.
Okay, now equals, bring your equals right here,
Oh, it's that.
times y right here. 26x, I'm bringing that down. Now what do I do for this x?
on your math.
What? I know how to do it, I figured it out.
I said you're doing pretty good with that.
Oh, that,
But you need to write down the next part, that like, define why you find y yet?
no.
Okay,
I'm not,
so
I'm
now
not.
26
Well, that's great,
minus
we want you to write at least part of it down. You don't have to show every step, but you show the beginning part. I'll have the quiz graded by tomorrow. You said you gave it to the six, right? It's finished, okay.
Doesn't matter. The
Remind me to get it to you first thing tomorrow morning or 12 o'clock in the evening.
What's the watch?
I
Pencils?
Mark,
do.
can you turn
and it
it?
should be 1.8.
I got
Keep grinding.
Good job.
Mine's dying right now too.
Thank you, Josh, for showing us x again. Does everybody understand how to find x now? Because I'm telling you guys, a lot of you guys got really confused on the homework. Awesome. Y. He cross multiplied 4.5 times 13 and 3 times y, you get 19.5. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
No.
Anybody? Questions on how to find y?
No, I can find AB too.
Alright, Travis gonna find AB for us too. Go for it. So is your shirt like unzipper?
Well, it's not, but
No.
Are you following what he's doing?
There's a kid that has zipper sleeves on it and he said they unzipped all.
oh, you just got time.
Yesterday?
Right?
Yeah. With the cheetahs?
Yes.
Must be
Just
steel.
work cut off.
Perfect. I'll give you a class.
Okay, AB is this right here. What does it say? 2 times. You're doing.
This is the.
Oh, I gotta find X, not
Well,
Y.
X, well, they both found X for you. It's 1.8.
Oh, so 1.8 times 2.
Say what?
Nope. This one right here, he found Y. These two are the same. This is the same way of finding X. We did it twice. Extra practice. And then
3.6.
he found Y right here, and now he's finding
What is
AB.
that?
What'd you get for X?
X is 1.8. You did it.
Yeah, but I didn't write it down.
Oh, okay. Alright, mark A, write AB above it so we know that's the AB portion. Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions? Why did he do, how did he get 3.6? He went up here and he said, oh, AB, I need to do 2x, so I plug in what I got for x. What do I do? Okay, so we're good with number 1. We got x, y, AB. Anybody have any questions? AB is 3.6.
X is there. Okay, so you see your three answers for number 1. X is 1.8, Y is 19.5, AB is 3.6. Any questions?
So that is half of that. So you have to multiply by 2. This is half of this whole thing.
Easily amused, easily amused.
Okay, y'all get number 2 right?
Everybody should be either done with number 2 or at least in the middle of it.
I was doing good. I'm
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you're
gonna
right,
do it.
you're right.
Alright, let's go ahead and find, let's do this one together. Because we gotta do a couple other things before lunch.
Why not 2 more?
Huh? Let's do these 2 more review things before lunch. Alright, so review-wise, which numbers can I put together to make a scale factor? Dwight, what can I do? What numbers can I use to find the scale factor of this? Because I can use scale factor in being able to find x.
10, 6, 12.
No, I need 2 numbers.
10.
Go ahead.
10, 15.
10 and 15. Alright, so that's the scale factor I'm going to use to find x. Now, Dwight, 3x, is that with 10 or 15?
You said 3x?
Or yeah, 3x, is that with 10 or 15?
15.
That's what
3x minus, what does that say?
2
Oh, 3x minus 2, yeah.
goes with what?
10.
10, so it goes 3x minus 2 over top of
6.
6. Okay, so we're good at setting up proportions.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Alright, so then what do?
Cause multiply.
Cross multiply, 10 times 6
Is that a B?
60.
it's a 6.
6.
It's a 60. You can't really see that marker, stinkers.
That is a 6.
60 equals 15 times 3x minus 2. Alright, now what do we do?
Multiply 15.
Distribute.
Awesome, distribute. I love it. Alright, 15 times 3 is what?
45x.
45x minus, what's, Greg, 15 times negative 2 is what?
Negative 30.
Negative 30. What do I do to get 30
You plus 30 to 60.
plus 30 here?
You get 90.
Plus 30, 90.
And equals
Okay.
45.
90 equals 45x. Now what? Somebody that hasn't talked. Anna. What do I do?
We divide 45.
Divide by 45. Okay, what do we get? What, 90 divided by 45 equals?
2.
Alright, now am I done?
Nope.
They got to
Yep.
find DE. So DE would be.
DE, so that's right here. So that's 3, what?
Times 2. Minus
2 minus 2. What do we get? 3 times 2 is
6.
minus 2.
4.
Okay. I think after all this practice, I think we're getting good at it.
You.
Alright, for this one, we're going to write steps down. This one, we're going to write some steps down. Okay, so yesterday we kind of worked on problems like this, but I think we need to write some steps down because I think we're still struggling, like I mentioned earlier, with the idea of pulling a triangle from another triangle that there's 2 in 1. So, for
Actually,
this one,
this one's different though.
oh, this one's different?
Yeah, it's the mid-segment one that
That's
we
the
did.
parallel.
Yeah, the mid-segment one,
Oh, that's true.
where the ones double the other and they don't do a proportion.
That's right.
Yeah. Does anybody remember, okay, this is one that we actually did before the well, around exam time, I think.
Oh, yeah, this is a review problem.
Yeah, from a couple weeks ago. We did this around exam time or before, I don't know.
Can
Weeks
I do
ago.
it?
Do you remember what it means?
Well, what means what?
Well, how are these compared to each other? Like, is it part equal part?
No.
What's going
It's
on here?
part equals part.
Part plus part. Part equals part.
It's not part plus part or, it's not.
Part.
Alright, let me ask you a question. It's kind of, okay, it's gonna be the part equal part thing, but is this small part from the small triangle equal to from the big triangle? Would they be equal to each other? Half.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the half thing? Where does the half thing come from?
Part plus part equals.
T is the what of this side? Midpoint. What else is a midpoint?
Wow.
Good. When you have midpoints, when you all have midpoints, right? Midpoint means halfway, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
And so this is half of that.
What are my 2 scores?
What can you multiply times this? What's the opposite of half? It's going to be
Multiply.
multiplied by what?
0.5.
2.
Okay, so if something's, what's the reciprocal of half?
2.
2. So can you multiply this times 2? 2 times this one, 2 of these will give you 1 of that, right?
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
When did y'all review this?
Right around exams, I guess, right before exams. There's one on the exam.
How long are you good at this?
Well, I'm reviewing it
We're
again.
about to go over that right now.
Was that?
Alright, so, do you kind of understand? Listen up. Half, if this is half of of that, isn't that the same thing as saying that 2 times that will give you that?
So when
You're
you
not
combine
sure?
like terms now, or something?
You could also do this. This is equal to half of that, whichever you feel comfortable with. You'll get the same answer either way. You can do the green equation, 2 times the small equals the big, or the small is equal to half of the big.
So x equals 2.
Yes. Let me just double check. Go ahead and solve for one of them.
I did.
6x plus 8.
I don't know about you guys, but I don't like fractions, and I know a lot of you don't either, so I think I'd go with the green way.
What's the green way?
No fractions? Unless you wanna, convert your fraction to a decimal.
No.
Okay. Greg, are you writing this down?
No,
Why?
because,
Cause why?
I don't know.
Maybe you should write it down.
Write what down?
Because this question right here was on the midterm.
And it's gonna be on a test on Thursday.
Test on Thursday.
Write all that down?
Yeah, all these will be on the test.
Write all that down.
So then we'll take, what's that?
So, like I said, if you do it this way, it's the same thing, but you have to worry about the fraction. You get the same answer if you do it right. Okay, so take one of them, do x equals 2. Give you a chance, some people didn't get that yet.
Alright, so go ahead, plug it in. X equals 2, plug it into,
For that one?
plug it into this one, and this one, and we're gonna compare the answers.
So,
Because if we plug in x, what we got for x, what should the answers be? In reference to each other. Right, do you know? So, what we said for the mid segment is that means that, this is half of this, right? So if we plug in x, this should be what in reference to this?
equal,
Not equal,
or like, I
half.
got, yeah, so like, I got 10 for, I got 10 when I plugged it in for the 3x plus 4, and then I got 20 when I plugged in for the 5x plus 10.
Okay, so what he's saying is you got 10 up here for this. Yeah. Alright? Okay? Then when he plugged in 2 down here, he got 20. So do you see how this right here is half of this? Okay. That's how we got this set up.
Did I do that right?
Yeah. Because 5 times 2 is 10, plus 10 is 20. That one is a tricky one.
We wanted to go over I'll give out the password, where's the other thing?
Oh, you made
Oh, I know, I did make copies, no way.
There it is. Alright guys,
To collect the whole. I might do that right after lunch, maybe.
alright guys, just, yesterday we touched on going over triangle similarities. We're gonna go a little bit more in depth with that today. We're gonna kind of put some vocabulary with it, to what you're looking for, okay? So I'm gonna hand you guys out a handout, it's partially filled out, but we're gonna do some problems on it together. And actually, Mia was working on a problem a second ago, and this information on here really will actually help her with that problem. Alright. Oh, okay, so I guess you don't get one. 30. Okay,
You say, man.
It's a gift of giving.
You say you
The
don't
gift of giving, Dwight. Here, the gift of giving.
They say,
What they say you saw without 2
The
kids?
gift of giving. I mean, you have already partially filled it out. You don't have to write as much today. I thought a lot of people would be happy with that. You don't want to do it? Oh, look, you don't really have to, because look at all that writing already on there for you.
What time you call?
Everybody get one? So, this is going to be the first one we go over. Alright, so what is this called again? AA. Similar marks. AA, similar marks. So what are we looking at here? Sides, angles, what?
Angle.
Angle, similarity.
Double
It said, 2 corresponding angles are congruent, then they're going to be similar. What does this mean, corresponding? I would underline that word. What does that mean? exteriorly congruent. What?
Like beside each other.
They're not beside each other, but remember what we said, like when we had our desk nice and triangles, that if we looked at it, Josh and Cody are sitting in corresponding spots. Because even though they're not in the same spot,
They line up with each other.
they line up with each other. There you go. So,
Thank you, sir.
75 here corresponds with what?
75 on other triangle.
75 is the other triangle. There are two corresponding angles. What do you need?
Mr. Smiles.
And then would you have to manage?
Oh, they're very good.
Wait, no, you said when I go to lunch.
Yeah, we're not going to lunch.
No, we said when I go to lunch.
We're not going to lunch?
We're going to lunch.
Oh, you
yeah.
just said, oh, I thought you were, I was like, what?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So then, 75 corresponds to 75. Alright, so we already have two congruent angles here. 31 then is going to correspond to 31. So, are these two congruent? Are they similar?
Yeah.
Yes, because we have two similar or congruent angles. So we write yes, AA, similar.
Negate symbol.
The negates or similars. Okay? That one was easy, right? They told us the numbers. Do you think it's going to be always that simple where they tell us the numbers?
No,
Yeah,
see.
should be.
No. Of course, they're not going to make it that easy for you. Alright. Everyone got the first part right?
5 minutes. 1 minute until
All
next
right.
bell ring.
Right. Can you tell me something about, what does it, these markings mean about these two angles? What does that mean about them?
They're
Sides.
They're what?
Sides.
This right here.
Vertical, just kidding.
No, what does this mean about these two angles? They're what? They're corresponding, and that means that they are, what was that word above it that we said earlier? We can use this symbol to identify it, meaning
Congruent, similar.
congruent. So this angle are already congruent.
Aren't they?
No, because you know what? There's no parallel line markings.
Oh.
If it had these right here, then yes, we can say that, but it does not say that. But good call though. You gotta look for those parallel lines. How do I find another, Anna? How do I find another congruent pair of angles here?
And the X, because they're all vertical.
Vertical, right. So, do I have two congruent angles here? Yes, I have two congruent angles, so can this be a similar triangle? Yeah, but that really wasn't that hard either, right? So we're going to say AA, similar, yes. So you might think that all the problems we're going to work right now are all going to be at similar, they're not. Okay? Everybody have this written down. Cody, did you write this down? Yes, AA. Phil, did you write this written down?
Yes.
For the second one? Evan? Did Greg write it down for the first one?
No, you don't write it down.
If you don't mind, that probably helps him out. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Let's go on over to the next one. Side, side, side. So, in this one, what do you think? Huh? What? Okay. We're not going to do this part just yet. We're going to do this part. So that means we have corresponding sides are proportional. So if they're
Yes.
proportional, what kind of things do you think we're going to have to set up? Proportions, ratios. Now, in triangles, how many sides are there?
3.
3. So how many proportions do you think we're going to have?
3. 2.
We're going to have to set up 3.
7 minus 1.
Underneath of this, I would put a star and say proportional.
You're right, you're right.
Okay, not proportional, I would say 3 proportions. Sorry.
I thought that was a power remember.
Okay,
Sure.
so we're going to be having 3 proportions set up for this particular triangle. Oh, 3 ratios. 3 proportion ratios, sorry. Give me a minute. 3 ratios.
I put 3 proportional ratios.
There you go, 3 proportional ratios. Same idea. Yeah.
3
Okay,
minutes.
so for this one, let's go ahead and set up some, we need 3. Somebody tell me one of the ratios.
3 over 6.
Okay, another one, somebody else.
4 over 8.
4 over 8 and
5 over 10.
5 over 10. Okay, do I want to go ahead and cross multiply all of them, see if they are proportional?
You all know they get
All
1
they're all
half.
equal, 1/2, so they're all
Awesome.
similar.
Okay, so we could just take them to their lowest form and say 1/2,
They're all similar.
1/2, and 1/2. And yes, this is similar because of Which formula? Which theorem?
Mhm.
Side. Clarity.
Nick,
But remember, if you're looking for the vocabulary behind this, you're looking at corresponding sides proportional. Alright, does everybody have this one written down? Okay, let's do number 4 on here together. Okay.
Wouldn't it be 30 over 24?
So that's the question you're asking me, right? Everybody, you're kind of confused on which sides go with which sides, right? So this is what you can do. You can say, okay, which are the small sides, which ones are the medium sides, and which ones are the large ones. So on this triangle right here, what's the smallest side? 30.
CE.
Okay, so C, D. Now, what's the smallest side on this triangle?
24?
Like PR?
Now, medium, what are the mediums?
25 and 32.
Well, we come back to this one first.
32, 25.
32, and the largest sides are 4.
There are, it's, yes.
35 and what?
28.
Okay, so now, go ahead and make those into their smallest.
They're
Theta
the same.
R is
I got
2x minus
1.25
6.
for all 3 of them.
3 times 5 is 10, minus 6.
What do you get fractions?
And then I
I
got
want
5
fractions.
over 4.
I want fractions for all of them. I want math enter. So somebody 30 over 24, what is that?
5 over 4.
5 over 4. 32 over 25.
5 over 4.
I think you should do 32 over 25 one more time.
22 over 20.
Oh,
No.
Never mind.
32 over 25.
yeah.
32 over 25. Can it go any smaller? Nope. So it's 32 over 25.
Could be now.
Well, what's 35 over 28?
5/4.
5 over 4.
Yeah, you're right, Cody, it'll be no, because right after that, we said the first two don't matter.